Hi guys, welcome back. So let's talk about each of the four nations in the Rugby Championship. Now it's all over. The big takeaways for me, the best team I think they can put out from this Rugby Championship, and this is where they probably wanted to do the bulk of their work preparing for the World Cup, because it is a proper tournament structure, the tournament pressure. The other games aren't quite the same, and maybe they want to just play around with players going towards the World Cup, but for some teams, no, that's not a luxury they have. So let's start with the All Blacks, and the big takeaway is they are the cream of the crop. Yes, the All Blacks and South Africa look to be set apart from the other two as well, but the All Blacks have stretched clear, and they definitely were the best outfit of the lot, the most rounded outfit, I would say. And in that last game versus Australia, that all-roundness really came to the fore, because they actually had to defend an awful lot in tough positions, and their defence was hard to breach, big tackles, and didn't concede really stupid penalties, and they got the key turnovers. And that's massive in the World Cup. You're not going to have it all your own way. Combine that with the best scrum probably in the tournament, or one of the best scrums in the tournament, a great maul game, top quality kick chase game, and they've literally ticked all the boxes. They're not unbeatable, but definitely by miles a much more rounded team than the Foster team of last season, that is for sure. And another thing is they got through without any big injuries. A lot of questions of players answered, I would say. For example, starting hooker is Cody Taylor. He was brilliant, right on top of his game, in his prime, and one of the best tackling hookers around. Just amazed with his tackling as well. Then, to use a Zoolander phrase, Scott Barrett, he's so hot right now. I mean, Scott Barrett was unbelievable. It's just a series of sensational performances. One of the best forwards surely in the world right now. He has to start probably in the second row alongside Retallick. Frizzell looks like he's definitely good enough to play 6 in Barrett's absence. And then Whitelock's probably the reserve as well. So I think that's a question answered there. And just to round out a couple of things, in the back three, Beauden Barrett has locked down his 15 shirt, and Will Jordan's there alongside him. And then they have to choose which winger goes with them. Talia probably is the guy for now. We didn't see as many wingers as I thought we would. Maybe there's injuries to the likes of Fainga'anuku. We only saw Narawa once. So I think we're going to see some more wingers in the rest of their warm-ups. But a lot of those key positions that we weren't quite sure about absolutely locked down as well. Then let's move on to Australia. Very converse to New Zealand. I want to talk about them because they're the team they played last, and Eddie Jones probably finished the Rugby Championship with as many questions as he started. 3 straight losses is, really tricky to take psychologically. They just need a win from somewhere soon to start building some belief. There is a lot of work to do. Self-inflicted problems, that was a big one from that last game, which was similar to a theme under Dave Rennie, really. In the last game, disastrous kicks, poor decisions and some brainless penalties really killed any chance they had, and they had built up some decent attack as well in that last game. And then, of course, injury-wise, they had that cruel blow right at the end. Alatoa with a really nasty injury out of the World Cup, and their scrum was a little shaky already, so that's not great because on the loose head, Slipper or Bell, neither are looking world-class. Parecki is solid, but, average-ish. Skelton's performing well in the second row, but no one's really locking it down beside him. Scrum half is up in the air. Jake Gordon might be worth a look at calling into the squad. Had plenty of comments about that. And at fly half, well, if Eddie Jones can become a genetic scientist and kind of splice together Quade Cooper's kicking game and Carter Gordon's running game, they might be in there, but at the moment there doesn't seem to be an absolute answer. Karevi doesn't look as good as he was. Him and Corambetti making some silly decisions maybe. A couple of boosts in the back line. Kellaway looking solid at 15, and Patara is a serious talent, that is for sure. But loads and loads of questions to answer in their final warm-up games. They're going to get better, but again, they really need to start accelerating and putting in some performances and just getting that win for the confidence. Then on to South Africa, second in the Rugby Championship, and boy, they can grind when they have to. They can scrape out wins when they're not playing well, and that is the sign of a good tournament team, and they do have a game to be a really good tournament team where if they play well, they can be just worldies, and when they don't play well, they can still win. And then Argentina, they kind of remain that nearly team. And again, prove with that last game, they were probably their best performance of the Rugby Championship, and they still don't get the win. For South Africa, they've just got those individuals who are absolute class, who can overcome some team deficiencies. And we saw the likes in the last game of Diolande, Etzebeth, Pieter-Steph du Toit, Marks, they're big boys stepping up. So powerful and just individually better than what the opposition have, really. For Argentina, that is exactly the sort of game they have to win to make a dent in this World Cup. They do look slicker, they're getting better and better, I think, but do they have the players to really make that step up and put those wins together? I don't know. Big string of penalties in this game, which has happened to them in the past. Missed shots at goal, which wasn't good as well. Fumble intercepts as well. So just, kind of threw that game away in many ways. With a win versus Australia, Argentina are in a better place. I think they are probably good contenders to maybe get to a semi-final, but they're going to have to play well, like I said, in a row. And also they contain my favourite player, probably of the Rugby Championship, Matteo Carreras, definitely my favourite back. He's just absolutely worldy for sure. And then finishing back on South Africa, it was only their first game where I thought they actually put it all together, where Liebok started in that first game versus Australia, where they had the power, the kicking game, and the width on the game running wise. They haven't really put it together again, but they've got the potential to do that, and when they click, they are absolutely one of the best in the world, so consistency is key for them. But it just takes such a hell of an effort to beat South Africa, even on an off day, like I said, and it's a side where I can see them almost losing a game in the Rugby World Cup and still coming back to win it. So let's finish up with what I think is their best teams going towards the World Cup. It might change again with the rest of their warm-ups, but this is how I see it at the moment. New Zealand, I think, is pretty locked down, actually, in many ways. De Groot, Taylor, Lomax, the front row. Tuingafasi, Takiahu, Lalala coming on. Tumatai Williams may come back into it. He's a youngster, maybe a bit early for him, but I'm excited to see him again for sure. Second row is Retallick and Scott Barrett all day long, twice on Tuesdays. Wylock there as a really good backup. Frizzell, absolute their number 1-6, and Scott Barrett probably the backup number 6 there. Sam Kane's actually emerged through injury as a bit more of a strong contender, actually. I'm not sure Papali'i really cuts it compared to Kane, so I think he's only got a minor injury, a neck injury, I think, something like that. I keep getting it wrong. Is it neck? Is it calf? I'm pretty sure it's neck. So he should be back at open side. Ardy Severe, yes, he's a bit smaller than some of the opposition, but he's their best 8, and I think you'd have Luke Jacobson on the bench for me covering back row. I think he adds a lot of bulk there they could bring on. We finally saw the Aaron Smith-Cam Roygaard combination in the last game, and it looks blooming good. Roygaard's such a good impact 9, so I think that's the way to go there. Mwanga, absolutely the starting 10, got the all-round game, got those clever kicks. With Bowden Barrett and DMAC on the bench, loads of cover at 10, 15, all that sort of thing. Obviously, Geordie Barrett and Rico Ioane, and it was good to see Anton Leonard-Brown come on and look really good in that last game. So I'd have him as the backup centre as well. And like I said, DMAC on the bench, covering fullback and fly half as well if you need it, or Barrett can step to fly half. Now with South Africa, where do you go with their super talented front rowers? Well, I think I do start Marks. He's just so good. Mbonambi came on and did well as well. You can do it either way, but Kitsoff, Marks, Malherbe to start, and then Unche if he comes back fit, Mbonambi and Koch as the replacements, the bomb squad. Then Etzebeth and I think Diaga in the second row. I keep RG Snyman on the bench for that massive impact, so I think that's the way to go there. Van Staden, Quagga Smith have been okay, but I think if Khaleesi came back fit, he would go straight back in as the open side, and then probably Quagga Smith on the bench. Pieter-Steph du Toit has been fantastic all tournament, so he's absolutely their blind side. And Dwayne Vermeulen has won that battle for number 8, I think, over Visa. Could definitely have Visa on the bench if you want a 6-2 split. I'm probably going for a 5-3 split to be a bit safer here, because I think they could get caught out in the centres if they don't have 3 backs, but they often take that chance. We didn't get to see Grant Williams play, dreadfully unlucky to be knocked out in seconds of that Argentina game, so that's horrible to see, but de Klerk came on and did really well and probably cemented him as the starter again. If Pollard is fit, I still think he starts, but Libbok looked great in that last game and the first game particularly, so I think those are their 2 10s, that's pretty clear. In the centres, Deolande retains with Am, had a really good last game. I would have Esterhuizen on the bench as cover for the centres, specialist cover for the centres. And then in the back three, Colby and I think Mapimpi maybe, having a little bit more height in there, can help. Mapimpi's probably going to come back better, but Arends is very close. LaRue makes some shaky calls, does some good stuff. His passing really opens up defences, so I still think it's LaRue. We haven't seen another 15 yet. I think we probably will at some point. On to Australia. What's their best team? It's really tricky. I am saying at the moment we have Slipper with Bell coming on at loosehead, Parecki starting as the hooker, although I'm not completely sold on him. Tupou's going to have to start at tight head because, of course, Ala Alatoa is out, and their replacements, as you see there. Second row, who goes with Skelton? Well, let's stick with Frost with Arnold coming on, but I am not blown away with that combination, to be honest. Holloway looked okay in the last game. I think he's their best six. Michael Hooper, I think, comes straight back in if he is fit. Maybe Tom Hooper on the bench. Valentini starting 8 for sure. Who starts at 9? Well, we didn't see McDermott get to do his running game at all in that last game, so hard to tell. So I'd say White comes back in for his control. McDermott on the bench. Which way do you go with the 10s? Well, maybe you start Cooper with a solid kicking game and Gordon coming on to get a bit more of that flash stuff going, but I don't know. Crevy and Ikitau probably with Patara on the bench because he's so talented he can cover all the back three and the centres. Corambetti, maybe not the best on Rugby Championship for him, but you know, their best winger, so he starts on one wing. Now we're kind of Tawazi on the other, I think, definitely. And Kellaway definitely looks more comfortable at fullback, so I think that's the way I'd go with Australia. For Argentina, I think that last team that was out is probably their best team. Maybe I'd have De La Fuente in at 12. Where'd you go with the 9s? Velez or Bertranou? Maybe Bertranou, I think, does start. Do you still put Bruni in at 8? Probably, but generally it's pretty much the team I would go with. Anyway, guys, that's my summary of the 4 teams from the Rugby Championship and the best team I think they can put out at the moment. I'd love to know all your thoughts. Comments below, and I'll catch you next time.